Well, welcome to what's going to be the last meeting of CARP visually online through Zoom this year of 2020, a year best forgotten, many would think, right, Hugh?
Or well remembered.
Hugh, of course, is chair of the Sudbury, Northern Ontario chapter of CARP, the Canadian Association of Retired Persons. And this is our last video we've done. We've done how many this year, sending out to members and the general public?
Well, I mean, if I say we did one a month, then since lockdown, that's March through now, we've done 9 or 10.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe a few more than that, John.
But looking back, you know, when this began, and we're looking at March, basically the start of the COVID crisis, and really we went through the first wave. Now we're well into the second wave. And how do you think this has generally affected most of our members?
Well, I think the anxiety that goes around a lot of this, especially here we are on the 23rd to 23rd of December. I can't believe that. I was just saying how many weeks there are in a year to a younger person, quite a bit younger. And they said, why are there 52? Why are they not 50 or 100? And everything else is base 10. And why does a week 7 days long? And 24 hours long. And I said, I don't know, but this year has felt a lot longer than 52 weeks. But we're approaching the last week of the year. It's the announcements that have just come to us here in Northern Ontario about lockdown, when we have such low numbers. Just a personal comment. It's not a criticism necessarily, except to say, painting us all with the same brush is very, very unfair in ways, when we already know that we're 95% of the landmass or 92% of the landmass of Ontario, but only 8 or 7% of the population. We don't have the same experience, except this anxiety, the anxiety of not knowing what's coming, what the implications of things are. What do things mean? And especially, let's face it, some of our members were not, and across this province, were not born here, are not native English speakers, or they come here and let's face it, we do have members who come from all different cultures, including, we have to remember there's indigeneity as well here, more so in Northern Ontario. I'm just thinking about seniors across this region, Northeastern and Northwestern, and the news comes mostly from Southern Ontario.
One of our first guests on Zoom was Dr. Peter Zalen. This goes back several months, and I recall that he mentioned on that recording that he felt that maybe we should be in a Northern Ontario bubble. And I know that one of our councillors in Sudbury recently felt the same way, that perhaps we should be limiting those coming from other parts of the province into our area. I know that in my journeys out into the community, I've noticed that most people seem to be very respectful of the measures that have been instituted.
Perhaps here in Northern Ontario more so. I saw pictures of people in the distillery district in Toronto. Yeah. I had to search for somebody wearing a mask. And I'm not saying you have to, it's outdoors. I realize that, but you're going indoors, outdoors. It's so easy to forget. I mean, I did have somebody the other day get very upset with me. I was getting out of my vehicle and they said, you should be wearing your mask. And I was like, my car as well? I don't know. I didn't have anybody with me. And again, maybe that's because they heard it somewhere or somebody referred. It's just, we had colors. We had zones, and then suddenly it all just changed. And I know that's, again, as I say, I didn't mean to be critical, but I know that many of our members have expressed to me a frustration. This whole process. Where is the leadership? I don't know. And maybe nobody has a playbook for this. It's funny, you said, let's forget 2020. I don't think we should.
No, I think it's an example, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we want to give a shout out before we forget to those volunteers those are members who volunteered for the Hard of Hearing House, the Dream Home. You have been there. As a matter of fact, I think you have another visit there.
I do.
I've been there as well. Though I had a visit scheduled for the day after Boxing Day, but that's not going to take place because of the province-wide shutdown of non-essential visits. But I really enjoyed being there. How about your impression? We want to thank our organizers as well too.
Absolutely, Diane, and of course we can't forget Lorna, and everybody else. And Keith has been there, and there've been a lot of greeters and just members who've come out because they believe strongly in the projects that we support. The Canadian Hard of Hearing Association. Hearing is such an essential piece to understanding, to interacting with, to be able to successfully interact with your world. It does tend to lead to isolation. It tends to lead to misunderstandings. Hearing is so vital. It's also very good that we go out to this house and we have supported this. John, you know better than I do. How many years have we supported CHA, or the Canadian Hard of Hearing Association, in this process?
Well, it's certainly been going on for, well, I don't know how many years, but Keith Argent Keith has been a lead on this too, and he recruited our new volunteers, as you mentioned their names just a moment ago, and the great work they've done, and also the others that have come out.
Yes.
The precautions that have been put into place. I know I was one of the, I guess one of the antiseptic individuals. I had my little spray bottle, and I would spray down the desks and doorknobs and pens and everything that anyone's using. So I think that we certainly followed the
Very much
protocols.
so. Very
And
much so. We have limited, John and I did a video of the house a week or so ago, 10
I
days
think so, yeah, right.
and your visitors are not going to the second floor. There is no basement. It's a very structured pathway through. So anybody who's watching this and saying, what are you doing selling tickets? We're very structured in how it's taking place. The protocols were discussed, they've been implemented, and they've been followed the entire time.
Only a couple of days left actually to go to the
true.
house, but you can still go online. Now the ticket sales will be ending very shortly, actually into the new year, with the draw taking place in February.
Early February, I believe the 5th or 6th. I may be wrong. Don't quote me. I don't have one. But we are going to be the last support group that are in. There are other groups that come out to do this, but we will be there on Christmas Eve. I did have another shift on the 27th. That's not happening either, John.
One of the reasons people have been asking why the hard of hearing, because, well, the fact for seniors, I think that outside of vision, which may be cataracts that some of us have had, but hearing is something that really affects almost all seniors. Once you get to a certain age. Now, of course, in our community, there's been those individuals who've been employed in industries. There's been a lot of noise.
Yes.
And of course, some of the younger boomers have had Walkmans that perhaps they've been listening to at too loud a level, and it's definitely affected their hearing. So, and there's no doubt about it that as we get older, not only hearing, but there's arthritis and there's other conditions that do affect us as we get older, and then certainly these have been brought to the fore, in particular with respect to falls and some concerns. I know
true, John.
Some of the seniors in our community have been advocating for safer sidewalks. And I think that, this is true, but seniors have to take some responsibility themselves. And I think that, wearing some of this footwear that does have these cleats in them. And also there's no showing of any degree of weakness, you might say, by actually using a cane that does have those little picks on the bottom of them as well too, because this means that it gives you much more stability when you're out there walking. We can't count on all the sidewalks and the roads being clear at all times, so therefore there's a certain degree of responsibility. And it's a sobering thought that those of us over 80, 1 out of every 2 of us is going to fall during any given year. So this is something that's, and of course, that means broken hips, all
broken pride.
And we know of, I don't know how many of my senior friends have had various parts replaced due not only to falls, but to wear and tear, I guess, over the years. Does this sound rather depressing or not?
No, you know what, John, using a walking stick there, don't call it a cane, call it a walking stick.
Right.
using two of them, call them, what's that, urban polling.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Which is probably great because you got more stability. Don't forget, us humans, are only we're only standing on these two sticks that we call legs. And there's a lot of possibility for tipping over. We're not like we're learning how to walk when the toddlers fall over very easily with no problem.
Yes.
But once we fall over, yeah, it could be a trip to the hospital, which in these times, maybe not so much up here in the north,
No, definitely not.
but definitely throughout the rest of the province. And who wants to spend the
No,
holiday?
I just re-angled my camera because John was asking. He said, "So the bold behind me. I know it does look like old." So we are all from birth. We're aging. I mean, why shouldn't we utilize devices or things? And John was mentioning about those boots. I actually stopped in, not to mention any particular retailer in town, but I happened to stop at M Work Warehouse, and they had the boots with they had a little device and a circle at the bottom, so you could walk on regular surfaces, and then you flipped it over. It has these spikes.
Yeah.
In the heel. I don't know. I'm sure they're wonderful. I don't think I want to drive with them, but or maybe it'd be the best thing. I don't know. I didn't buy a pair yet, but
what I use are the clip-on ones. You just sort of clip them over your shoe and that sort of thing.
I've got ones with elastic or Velcro.
Yeah.
But again, it's bending over to put them on is.
Oh no, you got to get some exercise, Hugh. We should mention before we forget that we were involved in a number of talking to seniors and surveys, and also we were involved with a university professor and a graduate student dealing with interviews of seniors, and the final report has just come out, and we're going to have to post that. And it showed. Really is interviewing some of our members and other seniors in the community, and we had a talk actually on a Zoom video with the professor and also with his student as well.
That's correct. I almost forgot about that one because it was overshadowed by a more recent one. I had a very discussion with Dr. Birgit Pianozzi.
Oh yes.
That's an audio file that is available on my podcast, and it should be available right now. Just Google my name, Hugh Kruzel, and the word podcast, and you find that and a multitude, an archive of that have stretched back 4 or 5 years now. It's remarkable what the world of technology is amazing. I just wanted to touch on something very interesting. We often think about and I had this interview with Birgit, and she said, "Well, about aging and being old," and I was like, "Oh, I don't want to do." But you know what? Maybe it's wonderful because the alternative is not good. But I want to just show you something, folks. This is my grade 3 thermos. This is something I've had in my world. And in fact, if I showed you inside, you'd like, really?
My golly.
It's the same thermos. The whole thing is the same from grade 3. But watch, I'll go and drop it now because it's one of those glass.
You don't want to do that, or you're going to have to put that on your Christmas list. And speaking of Christmas list, something else I think that we did this year with our family, we decided, we sort of cut down on the consumer thing with respect to gifts and doing some more homemade stuff. And so I have a grandson who's in grade 9, and he's very interested in the history. So it was suggested that, what's the history of his grandfather or grandfathers, right? So what I did, it took a little while, was to put together my sort of life history, right, to give him an idea.
We've all got to hear this, John, because I think it'd be fascinating.
Well, or incriminating. I'm not sure which, but in any effect, so I made it up and
No, I hope you didn't make it up.
Yeah,
Walter, the secret life of Walter Mitty.
So I think that in a sense that the older folks out there, and I know I had that problem with my parents too. I said I want to learn more about your life, and I've given them a tape recorder, and they said, well, it's not really that interesting. Well, I don't know, because I know some things, of course, but I don't know everything. So I think that maybe those of us of advanced age maybe have a responsibility to leave some record, at least, so when those who are younger, who may not have an interest right away, but when they get older, they generally do get an interest. They wonder, what was it like? I have an old picture of my great grandfather, whose name was John, which I'm named after, and then my second my regular grandfather. His name was Richard, my second name. So I didn't know that. So I'm doing a little research that way in some of my misadventures and adventures over the years. So there, I chronicled them all. If anybody out there is interested in any way of hearing my history, I'm certainly willing to share it as well too. Besides, with my grand kids as well too. So, and I know that there's been some. I know that Vicky Kuhola, formerly with Northern Life, and now doing some special comments on our history, has conducted classes for seniors who want to chronicle their lives as well too, and then maybe that's something that can be revived during the coming year
Sure. Just a second. I have to mute.
2021. I think that Hugh has some people there in the background because you're at work.
I have to apologize, John. Yes, I'm still at work, folks. I'm actually here. In fact, there's a Christmas tree just in front of me. I can turn it around so you can actually have. I had to actually step away for a second to plug in. And let me see if I can turn that around and you can start free. Let's go and hang on. Let's see if we can get it all in one go. Oh,
I'm actually recording.
There it is. There it is.
Oh, there it is.
Behind.
Great.
And if
Terrific.
You drive along Maley Drive, you'll see it at night. We turn it on, and if I come in early in the morning at 7 or 7:30, it sure is a wonderful beacon along Maley Drive. So folks, I am still at work, and this is our last day. But remember, NORCAT is here for people of all ages. If you're working in an industrial situation, or you just want to take a course in excellence in customer service training, or this whole world of online learning has really changed things for every age, including those in the troisième âge. If you are wanting to get ready to do something, if you want to learn a little bit more about something, this platform, I mean, this is kind of the wonder of 2020. Zoom has become this thing.
It's really amazing. I mean, I'm recording this from our office as well too, and we've been doing all our meetings with our clients by Zoom or telephone. Occasionally, if some of our older clients are not as comfortable, and we have had a few come into the office wearing masks, of course, and some of our staff downstairs are actually wearing masks right in the office as I speak to you right now. And I've sent out a little notice that instead of sending out an office recording as we normally do at Christmas time, we did one from our home because and we actually show. I should post that as well too. We actually show our big empty dining room table that's going to be empty for Christmas because we're going to be the only ones who are home for the holidays.
Well, we did the reason I'm drinking so much water, I'm dehydrated from yesterday. Still, I think certainly overused my vocal cords. I on my description of jobs that I do, I now add bingo caller. I hosted a virtual bingo night for colleagues from Toronto to Timmins, across the Sudbury region, up to Thunder Bay. And we were hoping to have Carlos, one of our colleagues in Santiago de Chile, join us as well. I don't know if he was on. I wasn't the game master. I was more than enough to do as I was doing. But, just to talk about that for a second, there's so much I volunteer at, and yet I feel I don't do enough. I would encourage all our members, those who are listening, those who you talk to, if there's just a little something you can do that's maybe half an hour every week or every month, or just do something just at a particular season of the year. Maybe it's community gardening. Maybe it's community cleanup in the spring. Maybe it's something that you believe will make your quality of life and your neighbor's quality of life, community's quality of life better. And here's the encouragement. If you want to be on the board of directors of the local chapter CARP, or take on a committee, or have an idea or a project, even a project that you think we should support, that we always do take some of the earnings, the hard earnings that we have, and support community activities. We're not a charity. We're not a not-for-profit. We're just an association. We do fall under the auspices of the larger organization that is CARP National. We're beneficiaries of Zoom TV and Joy TV and Vision TV and the magazine Zoomer magazine. You don't have to agree with every article or the content of every piece, but it is another perspective on that was never actually ever exposed in the Canadian demographic before. Those over the age of 55 or whatever you want to define. We just didn't have a voice.
And of course, we know that our largest segment of older folks is right here in Greater Sudbury.
Sudbury. Yes.
The largest component percentage-wise of any city in Ontario, except for Elliott Lake.
Well, Elliott Lake might be a little bit higher, but it's Elliott Lake's only got so many people. Whatever the net population is, it's not great.
So, are we? One of the things that a lot of seniors are concerned with is, are we respected? Because there is this ageism factor. Yeah, we know what's happened in the long-term care homes. And we've talked about that as well too. We've been very much involved. We've been provincially and across the country involved in various CARP endeavors to see what can be done with respect to long-term care, with respect to elders in general. And one of the interesting things is that a lot of our leaders are actually seniors themselves, but they don't seem to appreciate this particular segment of the population. Is there any reason why that, do you feel?
I've read many articles on this lately, and there's been more now than there ever were before. But the question, I just read one on car sales and how car sales are directed, used to be at younger men. Mm-hmm. And suddenly it shifted to younger women, and then now there's a few ads that you actually see somebody who looks like us in a car, not driving fast, but nobody should drive fast like that. Yeah. We don't do skids and things like that. But I have the wind blowing through my hair and just drive. Anyway, we have to look at transportation differently and all kinds of transportation. Maybe we should be looking at car sharing and all those things, but that's a whole bigger topic. But I don't know that advertising has been paying attention to us, except for products like Depends and the target market.
So there's a market out there, obviously, but I'm just wondering about, besides that, we have, and which come to the fore recently, is homelessness. And we talked to Bob Johnson, was one of our Zoom people.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that one too.
And there's a certain segment of the population that are homeless are elderly. We know that, of course, a significant portion have mental, physical problems of one sort or another. There's a certain criminal element. There's been early releases from jail. So there's a lot of that are on the street there that are unfortunately probably not getting the attention that they
No, and it's hard to define, actually. I mean, other than under that bigger banner. There's so many different reasons why, and so many different stories around all of this. And the bigger cities, I mean, we're all experiencing it in Sault Ste. Marie and North Bay, and it's not just Sudbury, and certainly it is the bigger cities too. But John, I don't know how. I'm almost overwhelmed by that one.
And it is difficult, and I know that. It does affect seniors in another way too, that especially this is a downtown issue, and I know that many of our seniors, and we've surveyed them
going downtown.
They feel that it's not as clean as it could be. Is it as safe as it could be? Is there parking available? And this is something that really the municipal people have to look at if they're really serious about making our downtown senior friendly, as it were.
But the more we step away from it, the more we go to malls. Although I have to tell you, you don't need to wear, ice tread shoes in the mall.
No.
Of course, we can't do certain things in the mall right now. There's, but we.
But even the parking lot of the malls, and a lot of them are located within the watershed of Lake Ramsey, which means more salt going into. So there's, yes. And that I know that the two main issues, when I think one of the last surveys we did with our seniors, was they're concerned about a number of things. Housing was one of them. Safety was one of them, and
drinking
of course,
water.
And our water quality was a big issue. And so these are things that seniors are concerned about. And I think that, well, the general population is. But one of the aspects of being a senior is that you do have a little more time to look at the bigger picture, as it were, right? So maybe you're not so concerned about the mortgage, or concerned about the kids, or the day-to-day life. that's all largely gone by. So you have a chance to
Well, we
look
are
at
the ones who write letters to the editor.
probably,
We're
yeah.
the ones who come out to committee meetings and attend council. I would love to see more from all the different age cohorts come out to these things. I mean, Sophia Matur, wonderful what she's doing with the climate issue, but where are the larger number of teens and 20s and 30s? And this is a bit of a call to action, folks. Your grandchildren, maybe you should be not modeling already how to do things, which I think many are. Encourage them to come out to events and activities.
Well, sometimes it's a little more difficult to come out in person, but I just want to give a plug here. There will be 5 water quality experts who will be appearing virtually during the month of February and the first week in March on Thursday evenings. Top water experts, and it's arranged by the Greater Sudbury Watershed Alliance, and people are interested. It's going to be open, free to everyone across the province. As a matter of fact, it was intended to be just local at Science North, but now going virtual, we can go across the province on Zoom. More information, you can check it out on our website, the Greater Sudbury Watershed Alliance website. Very simple, gswa.ca, gswa.ca, and the information is there. And there will be links provided, closer to the date. So this is going to be really interesting to see what these top scientists have to say about water quality, which is most important to us here. But I just wanted to mention before we close off that we have isolated seniors. There's no doubt about it. There are many seniors who are isolated. So what's the responsibility for them?
And not involved in the technology that we're using right now. No. So truly isolated.
So how do we get in contact with them?
John, this is why I think you're a perfect example of this. Grow a community around you, not necessarily, maybe with intention. Grow a community around you, friends of your friend. Your dance card should not be, limited. It should be very, very broad. We should be reaching out to friends, neighbors. Be that friend to somebody else, and they'll be a friend back to you. Again, how do we?
I know it's difficult, and especially since like the older adult center is closed, and most of the other facilities are not there for those of us who wanted to get together.
But don't limit your world, is what I'm really saying, John. Just because these things have broken down. Pick up the phone. You mentioned Vicky Gahula. I spoke to her for an hour the other day. Charlie Rapsky, I picked up the phone and talked to him. We should be doing this to friends across the city, across this province, across this country, and perhaps around the world. Why not? Oh, I meant to call them yesterday. Do it now. Oh, I meant to send them a message. Do it now. But you know what? On the flip side of all this, there are the seniors who are isolated. If they've got a phone in front of them, they should be picking it up. I hate to say, don't be sorry for yourself, but what I'm saying is it requires a two-way street for it to happen. You have to be accepting, and you have to also do outreach.
And of course, if you...
That phone didn't ring all day for me.
No.
Well, pick it up and ring it for some.
That's right. I mean, I think we have a responsibility to maintain contacts, right? But and which we're doing now. So this is going to be posted. I hope the recording works out well on our CARP website, and hopefully we have other those of you may have missed some of our other recordings. We will be getting together in the new year if all goes well.
We have to have an AGM at some point in time. We have to encourage. Now we could do a virtual AGM. I have hesitated to do that up till now because it does discount certain people who don't have the technology. But again, maybe they don't want the... We need to broaden
we're all experiencing a degree of frustration. Any final thoughts before we close off this year?
It's a perfect time to say Merry Christmas to people, Happy Holidays, festive season, whatever you follow or don't follow, whatever you believe or disbelieve, whatever's makes you happy at this time, solstice, and the best of 2021. Let's hope that 2021 is going to be a better year than 2020. Yeah, right. Although, it hasn't been that bad. We've been very fortunate here in Northern Ontario. And not to discount again, there are some people who've been affected. and it has not been good for seniors, especially those in long-term care. But let's raise my eyebrows, let's raise my happiness level and say, thank you, John, for making my 2020 a brighter, happier year than it could have been. And folks, joining these Zoom meetings with John and you joining us, what a great opportunity to.
Yes, it has been. And of course, we know that one of our family members acquired COVID early in the.
Yours, yes, I do recall that.
And is one of the long haul people, which is still experiencing yes. some effects. And this is a very healthy, very athletic 40-year-old. And so if that happens to someone half our age, we know what the implications can be. So remain vigilant, safe, and happy a little bit.
Very happy.
Yeah, enjoy your holidays. We'll see you next year.
And to everybody, a happy new year. Bye for now.
Sure. Bye for now.